What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking about dual power in this video and something very interesting and very peculiar that is going on with this set. And this is something that at first I thought was a very minor detail, but it could end up being something very major. And let me just preface everything that I'm saying in this video by the fact that this is speculation on my part. I don't have any 100% evidence that this or anything that I predict is going to actually happen 100%. This could be something, it could be nothing, or it could be everything. So you guys know about Dual Power. It's a set that's going to be released in a couple of weeks. A lot of people, myself included, have said that this is pretty much going to be set of the year, whether it is the competitive reprints, the cards like Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, the hand traps, cards like Impermanence, Card of Demise, Evenly Matched, Boilo Dragon, etc., etc. Or it can even be the protagonist Ace Monsters, which a lot of collectors are going to want. It can be the brand new cards that are coming out. Shout outs to Cyber Dragon players getting Cyber Dragon Nashter, Roma Seraphy Jasmine, the Thunder Dragon Link, Security Dragon, etc., etc. It really does seem like this set has everything, or it has something for everybody. And I think that a lot of people are super excited about this set. I think it's going to be one of the hottest selling sets of the year. And even personally, I'm going to order a couple of them to give away as tournament prize support and my live stream tournaments, because it just looks like such a fantastic set. But what a lot of people have not actually been talking about when it comes to Dual Power is something very small that Konami actually just did. And again, it's going under the radar. Now, this is not something that they announced like officially or that they really made a big deal about on Twitter or something like that, but it's something that they kind of slid under the rug, and that is the fact that Dual Power's release date has actually been changed. Dual Power was originally supposed to be released on April 5th, 2019, so I believe that is a Friday off the top of my head, and Konami actually just decided to push it up a few days. The OTS store date is actually going to be on April 2nd, and then the date that you can find it at like Walmarts and Targets and stuff like that is actually going to be April 3rd. Now, a lot of people are probably going to say, okay, Kat, what's really the big deal? Konami decided to just push the release date of Dual Power up 48 hours, no big deal. And at first, that's what I thought. I said, okay, well, they're moving it up a few days, a couple of days, whatever. Doesn't really seem like that big of a deal. Maybe the production on the, maybe the production on the product just moved a little quicker than they would have anticipated, etc., etc. But then I started looking around to what a couple of people were actually saying, and it kind of made me think that this might actually be something. And it was just something about that date, something about April 2nd. Like, I knew that there was some significance to that date or something important about it, some relevance there, but I just couldn't remember exactly what it was. And then it finally dawned on me. It hit me like a stack of bricks, and it was the exact date that Konami told us they can give us a brand new ban list for the TCG. You guys can see right here, I'm on the ban list page, which was updated, back in January, and it says the next update after this will be no sooner than April 2nd, 2019, and it just kind of was a weird thing, right? Like, I started thinking, okay, that's really peculiar. What are the actual odds that Konami just arbitrarily moves the release date of Dual Power to the same exact dates that we might actually get a ban list in the TCG? Both of them, well, the OTS store dates, both of them actually are going to be April 2nd. It's just really weird that Konami would actually do that, and it started making me think. I started having some kind of theories in my head. What if Konami had a specific reason for doing that? Because first off, I do not think that this was a coincidence. If this was just a coincidence, or if there was no specific reason that Konami wanted to release this on April 2nd, then why even move the release date of Dual Power up to begin with? Especially when it's really not even that significant of an amount of time. You're talking about really only 2 days. It kind of makes me think that there's a reason they want this product to come out on that date. And I actually think that there's going to probably be a banned card that gets unbanned that just so happens to be in Dual Power. And I thought about that at first, right? I was like, okay, maybe that's the natural conclusion to draw, that there's, a banned card or two that's going to be reprinted in there as an ultra rare, get players super excited. But then I really thought, well, why exactly would they move it up though? Even if there was a brand new banned card that happens to be in Dual Power and players are obviously going to flock to go get that card, what's the point of moving it up? It's only a couple of days. Players could obviously wait, but you guys know, and Konami probably has figured this out, what always happens when Konami unbans a card? Whether it be something like Regeki or Monster Reborn or Snatch Steel in previous years, the same thing pretty much always happens, especially when it's a generic card that a lot of decks can run. The secondary market goes absolutely crazy over the first couple of days, and everybody and their mama tries to go out and get the card. You have some people who are just buying the card out. You have people who are trying to get it to play it or to stick it in a certain deck, and basically you have a serious supply and demand disaster, because you have tens of thousands of players who are all trying to get this card, and basically you have a very limited supply. Now, I thought about that, and I thought, well, what if Konami decided to give us that card and give us the ban list at the same exact time, instead of the secondary market being flooded? Because you guys have to remember, when Regeki gets unbanned and, you know, everybody's going out to eBay or TCG Player or wherever you go and buy your cards to pick up those Regekis, Konami is seeing absolutely zero money from that. Konami doesn't make any money from the secondary market, and the OTS stores don't make any money from that either. So this could actually be kind of an alternative to keeping the money, or an alternative way to try to keep the money in house, which I actually think is pretty smart business. Think about it like this, right? Instead of doing the norm, for instance, unbanning a card and sticking it in dual power, and everybody goes in, you know, first 48 hours, we're all trying to buy it from secondary sites. What if Konami releases dual power in the ban list on the same day? This way, maybe the ban list drops around noon, everybody gets off of work or out of school around 3 to 5 p.m., and instead of everybody rushing to the websites over the next couple of days, people are actually going to their OTS stores and going out to other places to buy actual dual power, which is a set that you were probably already going to pick up to begin with, but now you might be inclined to buy a little more dual power, because you know that that chase card or that card that's getting unbanned is actually in there. And I would not put it past Konami to put a couple of articles on their website, because they generally do this when new products are released, talking about what's inside. It would not surprise me at all if they released an article on that same day talking about the new card that got unbanned and why you guys should pick up dual power to get it, etc., etc. I just think that it would make a lot of sense. In this way, everybody's kind of happy. The OTS stores are going to sell more product of a product that's already going to sell well, so they're happy because they're making money. Konami's happy because their product is selling well, and the OTS stores are probably more inclined to buy more product from them in the future. And then obviously the players are happy because we don't have to run out to secondary sites and, you know, buy inflated prices. We can just pick up dual power and hopefully end up getting the card. I kind of think that it actually makes sense, but then I started thinking about, well, what are some actual examples of that happening as of late? And that's when I remembered that Konami did this literally last week in the OCG. You guys know that last week Konami just dropped a brand new FNL list for the OCG. This is the list where Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon is getting banned, but on this same list, Konami decided to finally unban Regeki and the OCG, and obviously the players in the OCG are gonna go nuts. They're like, oh man, we get to finally play with Regeki. If you are a newer player, chances are you don't even own a Regeki, because the card has been banned for so many years. And guess what Konami decided to put in their structure, or excuse me, their starter deck 2019, and announced the reprint on the very same day. Yep, Konami decided to put Regeki in this starter deck. Obviously starter decks are intended for, you know, newer players, so all the newer players will have access to Regeki. They don't have to go in the secondary market and hunt for a Regeki. And again, this is just another example of Konami unbanning a card and then instantly reprinting it to kind of push new product in. I feel like maybe they could do this again. You guys know that not that long ago, just last year, Konami had the legendary or the Lost Art promotion, and guess what they used to kind of, you know, make the Lost Art promotion super successful? They had Monster Reborn in there, and then what did they do? They gave us Monster Reborn, and then on the very next ban list, they unbanned Monster Reborn. So there are some examples of Konami doing this, of Konami unbanning a card and then putting that card in a brand new set, or vice versa, you know, giving us a new product which has an unbanned card and then immediately unbanning that card. I just feel like if it wasn't something to this, why even change the release date at all? Why not just keep it on April 4th/5th for the OTS stores? Just feels like there is a little bit of, you know, where there's a little bit of smoke, there's definitely some fire, and I'm getting that feeling here. Now, for my personal prediction, because a lot of people are talking about Harpy's Feather Duster now that the OCG has Regeki. They now have both of the powerful board wipes, when for the longest time it was like the TCG had Regeki, OCG had Harpy's Feather Duster. I think that that can be a possibility, and this would be a prime example of a card to reprint because it hasn't been reprinted in many years. I kind of feel like maybe it could be Pot of Avarice. Pot of Avarice is a super strong card, and yes, it would be nuts with the dangers. It's a great recovery card because it lets you put your cards back in your deck and draw. However, you do have to think, especially now with Pot of Extravagance in the TCG, this would be the only pot card that sees meta play that you can't just activate immediately. Like, you can activate Pot of Desires, draw your 2 cards, and then decide what you want to do. You can activate Pot of Extravagance, draw your 2 cards, and then decide what you want to do. With Pot of Avarice, you have to commit to your plays, then you have to use Pot of Avarice late in your turn, and that might actually be a little bit of a deterrent. I mean, yeah, some people might play it in Sky Striker and Endanger builds, but I don't know if everybody would play it to the point where it would feel broken, especially if Konami decides to just unban a card like Pot of Avarice and put it at 1, as they're doing with a lot of the cards. And Konami has been unbanning a lot of cards as of late, so I feel like it is a very legitimate chance that they could be doing something like this. But again, guys, this is all speculation, and I could be wrong about this entirely. I just kind of wanted to bring this to people's attention, that they have moved Dual Power's date up a couple of days, and that date does happen to coincide with the date that we can get a new ban list. So if you guys think this is something, nothing, or everything, any of those 3, leave it in the comment section below. And if you guys think that Konami might unban a card, what card do you guys think that it might actually be inside a Dual Power? Maybe Tribe Infecting Virus. Haven't played with that card since I was a teenager. That could be another chance or another card that could be possible for Dual Power. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.